Let's start by asking, what is Hunt Showdown? Generally speaking, in the simplest of terms, Hunt Showdown is a battle royale PvEvP bounty hunting game. It is set in the late 1800s where you and up to 2 other friends are dropped in a 1x1 square kilometer map with a 1-hour timer and an objective. The objective, generally speaking, is to find clues to locate 1 or 2 of the bosses at the time of this recording. There are currently 4 of such bosses in the game. While you are on your search for those clues, you will encounter zombies, dogs, NPCs, and other players which share the same goal as you. After finding said clues, you need to find the exit and escape safely with your bounty. Sounds simple enough, right? Well, in a sense it is. But the means that your objective is achieved is entirely up to you. When you first open Hunt, you're greeted with many menus that show you the hunters you can recruit, the gear you can buy, and other tools you can buy and equip on your current hunter or the hunter you have currently recruited. But I will talk over that more in depth in the UI portion of the video. As said before, you and up to 2 other friends spawn on a map with up to 12 other players total, that's including you, with the goal of being either the last squad standing or simply just getting your bounty and getting out. As also stated before, the game takes place in the fictional late 1800s Louisiana bayou, filled with swamps, shacks, and many other things that will most definitely want to kill you. So all the weapons that you will use in the game are also from that time period. So expect lots of revolvers, single-shot weapons, lever-action rifles, and many other things like that, of that sort. But again, I will cover that more in depth in that portion of the video. Sorry, this video might be long. Hopefully it's not. Just bear with me, guys. So with the diverse objects in the environment, along with a pretty immaculate variety of weapons, mean that there are more than one way to get the bounty and get out. Just note that this game is called Hunt Showdown, not Call of Duty. While the run and gun tactic is a viable option in the game, it's not really the most effective, as you will most likely find yourself getting gunned down from someone across the map that you didn't even know was there. Now the gameplay style of Hunt, in my opinion, is a more slow type game. It is called Hunt after all, so we find lots of players taking their time assessing the situation before making their move, whether it's taking a better position with a sniper while your friend draws out an enemy, or sitting in a corner for 30 minutes waiting for that one unsuspecting white shirt to come waltz into the door not knowing you're there and you blast him away with a shotgun. The style of Hunt is more tactical than most games, wherein your winning or losing is not dependent at all on the weapon you are using, but whether you have outsmarted, outplayed, or even was just in the right place at the right time when facing your enemy. Okay, now for the meat and potatoes of the game. When you spawn in, the first thing you're going to want to do is to locate the first clue to track the boss. This can be indicated by a glowing particle type effect when using your dark sight ability. Then checking about where it is on the map to try and figure out how to get there and what the best route is. Each map has many compounds or areas where the clues will spawn, along with some pickups like ammo, cash, and sometimes even things like new abilities, weapons, and even XP. As you approach each clue, you will notice the various sound traps that will trigger if you get too close or make too much noise. These include dying horses, flocks of crows, chicken coops, and dog kennels. And to some extent, even the zombies themselves. More explained in sound aside. For the most part, in the simplest ways, dealing with these or staying away from these sound traps will ensure your survival and that no one else knows where you're at. With those out of the way, you can simply now walk up to the clue and collect it, but be careful as stronger enemy types can spawn around them. Note that if the clue is blue, it means there is no other player in your general vicinity, which is about 30 meters. If it is red, there is someone nearby. Also, if the seal is broken but the clue is still blue, that means that someone has gotten the clue and has simply left and moved on. And the clue spawns are, for the most part, the same for every other player on the map. As you collect the clues, you'll notice parts of the map when you check it are grayed out. This means that the boss is not there and you need to collect the other clues in the highlighted sections to find said boss. Once you collect 3 clues, the boss's location will appear on the map. Once you get there, you need to kill the boss and banish it. Just be aware that other players might be around there waiting for you to finish the boss and leave, waiting to kill you, and take your bounty. So it's usually best to kill the boss in a quiet way, either with fire, assuming it's not the butcher, or with one of the many melee weapons that can spawn around the lair or around the world. Once the boss is defeated, you need to banish it. Note that once you start the banishing process, it cannot be stopped, and every remaining player will know not only where the boss location is, but that someone is banishing it, and will also try to come and take your bounty, so be prepared and set up defenses for a fight. The banishment process usually only lasts about 2 minutes, I believe. Once the boss is fully banished, and assuming you are not already killed by other players, you'll be able to pick up bounty tokens. These are what you need to extract. Once you pick up these, you will get something called Boosted Dark Sight that will let you see players in your general vicinity, but this ability only lasts about 5 seconds, so use it sparingly. But also take note that just because you can see them doesn't mean they can't see you either. Once you collect the bounty tokens, you will appear on the map as the indicated lightning strike on their map. And also when players use Dark Sight, they can see a gigantic lightning strike coming from the sky directly to your location from pretty much anywhere on the map. You can also gain an additional second of boosted Dark Sight for every extra clue you obtain for other bosses if there are another boss on the map, or from looting dead hunters. Congratulations, you now have killed the first and possibly the only boss on the map. Now if there's a second boss, it is your decision to either go and try to get that second boss, try to kill the other players on the map, or simply try to just save your ass and extract. If you decide to fight the other boss, go ahead and repeat the same thing as happened before with the clues, and do the same thing again with the banishment process. It's the same for every boss, and even if you do more than one boss on the map. Only a max of 2 bosses per map can spawn. If you decide to extract, go ahead and make your way to one of the indicated extraction zones marked like this symbol on the map. Once you get there, a 30-second timer will begin, but if another player gets too close, or one of your teammates or you are down, the timer will stop and it will reset once said threat is dealt with. Congratulations, you just completed your first hunt, and now you will see a screen that will tell you everything you've done and give you money and XP respectively. And after that, you are brought back to the hunter menu to buy and unlock more or better gear for your hunter to put them in future hunts. Now for this part, I'm not going to go too in-depth with some of these topics because there are other videos that are much more in-depth and probably much more better at explaining things than I am. I'll probably link some of the channels down in the description below if you want to check those people out who can explain those a lot better. Plus, I don't want to try and make the video like an hour long or some shit like that. But with that being said, let's go ahead and go over the enemy types and go ahead and talk about some of the bosses that you will come across in your hunts. Zombies can come in a few different varieties, some with weapons that can deal bleed or fire damage, but generally are not a huge threat unless you get swarmed by a large group. Generally, rule of thumb is a couple of melee hits or even silenced pistol shot to the head, and you deal with them. That's it. Doctors are a lot like the typical zombie enemy, as they are not much of a threat, but they can deal a significant amount of poison damage when they hit you. But as a trade-off, they can also drop a medkit on death. So it's kind of a smart to keep one around if you're trying to fight a boss or something. Maybe even try and kite him into a boss lair and kill him, so you have an extra health pack laying around. Or just take note of where it drops. Dogs usually spawn in packs of 3 or more, and because of this can be quite overwhelming to a less experienced player, but can also give away your position as they howl before they attack you. It's usually best to deal with these enemies from a range with a silence weapon or just avoiding them altogether. They can be quite a handful. Oh boy, the hives. Hives are these very grotesque zombie types that, as the name suggests, have a giant hive growing out of them that, when aggroed, will unleash a barrage of poisonous insects that will not only deal poison damage to you, but also will deal physical damage over time that are a pretty considerable threat, as they can deal a pretty significant amount of damage in a pretty quick time. And she will also let out a loud shriek that can alert nearby players, but she again is best dealt with at range with a headshot or an antidote shot. Antidote shots can make you completely immune to poison damage, but you will still take the physical damage from the bugs. But if you get caught in a bug cloud, the best way to deal with it is to simply just melee with a blunt weapon. Immolators are another zombie type that will appear with this red glowing, almost like they're on fire, like a glowing ember. And if shot, or if their skin is pierced in any way, they will enrage and explode, very loudly, mind you, and then sprint after the player, dealing lots of fire damage. These guys are best dealt with by melee weapons from a blunt, mind you, a blunt melee weapon such as the knuckle dusters, or just the butt of your rifle, or you can even snuff them out with choke bombs. Water devils, as the name suggests, are these creepy looking tentacle water monsters that only are in the water but will chase after the player very, very fast if they are close enough in the water, and will deal quite a significant amount of bleeding damage and just damage in general, and can kill you surprisingly quick. These are best dealt with by simply just shooting them from range from the land, or simply just not going in the fucking water. The armored and Constantina armored are a zombie type that come in these two variants. They're not a very huge threat because they are mostly slow unless they're sprinting after you, but they can deal a pretty decent amount of damage. But simply by shooting them or meleeing them a few times, preferably with a knife, you can deal with them fairly easily. But be aware that with the Constantina armored variant, that's the guys with the barbed wire over them, if you melee them, for the most part, you will get bleeding damage from meleeing them. And they also have significant amount more of health, so it takes a few more melee whacks, but again, not a massive threat. Meatheads are a much stronger enemy that can actually be quite challenging to take down, but they do have a weak spot, so a more experienced player can take them down relatively quickly. This monster is blind, but can hear you pretty decently, and has these slugs that spawn all around him that will spit poison at you. And immediately lure him to your presence, and he will chase after you for not an insignificant amount of time. He also deals a lot of damage, and depending on the weapon he is holding, can deal a pretty decent amount of bleeding damage. For the most part, as an inexperienced player, your best bet is to just straight up avoid this guy, or set him on fire. In fact, pretty much anything in this game, besides the butcher, just set it on fire, okay? Or the immolator. Just set him on fire. This next part I'm going to go a little bit off script because I just don't know how else to rate this. But Hunt Showdown has some of the best sound and level design I have ever seen in any game, the sound design being one in particular. Every single sound you hear or make is a physical sound in the game environment. Everything from changing weapons to reloading to walking through water to shooting something even with a silenced weapon can be heard by you and by other players, and vice versa. Don't get me wrong. 1 by 1 kilometer may sound small as a map size. It may be smaller than other games like Warzone or PUBG or Apex or any other thing like that. But the level of detail in each level, per se, in each map is so bonkers that it's unbelievable. Like, I cannot get over the level of detail that they put in every single little house, every single walkway, every little bit of woods, every swamp. Everything is there. Everything feels like it has a purpose. It's just bar none. And the sound design, it uses a 3D binaural technology. I have not heard anything as good as that since Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. If you have a good headset, your ears will absolutely love this game. You can hear everything crisp and locate exactly where everything is, whether it's a gunshot, someone walking through a building, or a zombie or a player sneaking up behind you. This part's going to be a little bit shorter because I don't know how else to say it, but just you have to take my word for it. Everything else you'll just have to experience in-game. I'm also going to go off script on this part also, as we are covering the UI and the general gameplay mechanics, as there is so much here that I cannot possibly think to write them down without forgetting something. When you first come to the menu screen, you will see your hunter, the one they give you. Or if you haven't yet, you can go ahead and also recruit hunters. You will get 1 free hunter every time. until that hunter dies, or you retire him or lose him, and then you will get an extra free hunter. You can also use a reshuffle, which costs blood bonds, which is the in-game currency, to get an extra shuffle of these hunters. You usually get one tier 1, which is the free guy, and you get a couple of tier 2s and possibly one tier 3. Their loadouts are completely random, but the higher the tier, generally, the better the weapons and gear they have. Also, they normally come with traits. The higher tier, also, they come with more perks or traits, and the free one comes with none. Also, there are legendary hunters that you can buy with in-game currency, or with buying the DLC, but all the in-game purchases are purely cosmetic and do not give you any specific advantage in the game. Although some people argue that it, in a sense, does, because some hunters are harder to see, let's say at night or in certain maps than others, which, okay, whatever, sure. You also have Soul Survivors that you can get from Quick Play. Quick Play is a game mode that is more closely to the Battle Royale than anything else, but I cannot really cover it. You can watch someone else's video about that, as I have never touched Quick Play, nor do I really care to so much. You also have Trials, which you can earn stars, and in some cases in-game currency, that give you challenges that you can do, various levels of challenges, where you can get stars, where you can unlock items, per se. Let me see if I can find where it is. Contracts are basically, you choose a contract, you get a random contract, or sometimes it gives you a choice of a specific boss that you want to hunt. Training is, as it sounds, is like a training mode that you can use when you're a new player. I recommend 100% doing all 3 of these, as they also give you blood points that you can spend in the legendary store. Your progress here, you have your bloodline level, which is your account level. It maxes out at 100, although you can prestige it. And the max prestige level is 100. And prestige works like pretty much any other game. Everything basically resets, although I'm pretty sure, I might put a correction if I come across it, but I believe you do keep all your unlocks. It just resets your character level and stuff like that. And this here is where you have your trial rewards for doing certain trials. You get rewards, whether it's blood bonds, certain items, or even skins. Your statistics are your statistics, how much you played. Challenges, you have one daily and one weekly challenge. They reset of course the daily resets every 24 hours, and the weekly resets, weekly. And here you have the results of your last match. For your roster, here you can choose your hunter that you want. Here are some of the ones I have that are the legendary hunters, and you can also gear out your hunters by the various gear you buy and unlock. You also have, everything you unlock you will keep, even if you have legendary items, but just know that if you unlock a legendary skin, you will immediately get a copy of that item, but if you do not have that item unlocked in your your unlock path, you will not be able to get that again until you unlock that specific weapon. But every time after you unlock the weapon, you can buy the version with the skin at no extra cost. So it's the same exact weapon, everything is just a different weapon skin. The tools are your various tools you have. You have your first aid kit, you have things that are kind of useless that I would never use. You also have other melee weapons, other things like that. You can also unlock some of them. Of course I haven't, because I haven't used them that much. Consumables work like any other consumable. You have your vitality shots, which are for your health. Stamina shots, which give you more sprint, more stamina. You also have things like fire bombs, dynamite, grenades, dynamite bundles, things like that. If you want more in-depth, again, watch other videos. I'm not going to go super in-depth. And then here you have the Blood Bond store, which is basically where you can buy the in-game currency. Then of course you have the leaderboards that just show the leaderboards. Then here you have your library, which covers the manual, the monsters that you come across, like the bosses, some of the more common enemies, if you want to read the lore and stuff like that. And you also have one for the same thing with guns. And every time you do something with it, you unlock mastery with it, which also gives you a couple of blood bonds. Nothing crazy, but it's something to do. Okay. In this part of the menu, you can actually choose perks for your hunters. Once you unlock slots for them, they will cost traits that you will get passively through finishing hunts, and you can also sometimes pick them up in the world. Some of them are pretty good, like Adrenaline. You can instantly start regenerating stamina when your health is low. You have Bloodless, which slows down how much you bleed. You have Bullet Grabber. Some of them are really good, like Fanning. You can shoot really fast with single action weapons. You have Levering, which is the same with lever action rifles. Then you have also really good ones like Greyhound, which lets you sprint longer. And then you have some that are kind of useless in my opinion, like Vigilant, where you can see traps and things that highlight for you. Some of them are good, some of them are kind of meh, and then some of them are just absolutely worthless. Oh, and you can also respec your hunter if you don't like things like certain traits or how his health is. You can spend a little bit of currency to change that. After all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video I have made. It took quite a long time to make. I've never made a video like this. My goal of this video is to show people how amazing this game is to me and why I think more people should play it. If I missed anything or if I got anything wrong, I am sorry. And if there's any more questions you have, you can always ask me in the comments. You can always do anything like that. Also, I have a Discord you can get onto and ask me about, or even play with me. I also have a Twitch that I stream on every now and then. I should be posting out more content with this game on my Twitch and also my YouTube that you're watching from. So if you'd like to see more of that, just let me know. And if you have any ideas for other videos, also just let me know. All in all, if there's anything else you have, just experience the game yourself. The game has a steep learning curve and you will probably die a lot, but that's just a lot of fun in the game. It's just a great game. I feel like you guys should play it, and definitely it's just a criminally underrated game in my opinion, and more people should play it. All said and done, this video is a little bit long. I hope you guys have enjoyed everything, and please just buy the game and enjoy the game. Thank you guys so much for joining. Hope you all have a good one. Let's roll that outro. Get that, everybody. And I will see you in the bayou. Have a good one, guys.